You may have planned for your child's US education, but have you planned for the US future? The university, the fees, the move, the opportunity. Once the journey begins, it feels like the hard part is done. But here is the uncomfortable truth. US education is not the full plan. It is only the beginning. Because the real question is not getting there. It is what happens after graduation if your child wants to stay, work, and build a future in America. And this is where the real uncertainty starts. Because the traditional path most people rely on, that is first F1, then OPT, then H1B, and finally a green card, no longer works the way it used to. The first weak link is H1B. It was always uncertain because of the lottery, and recent changes have made it even harder. Your child may have strong grades, a very good resume, and even an employer ready to hire, and still not get selected. And even if H1B works, the green card path for Indians is so heavily backlogged that it can take decades. So what looks like a clear path is actually full of uncertainty. And that is where many families get stuck. That is why more families are now looking at EB5, a more direct path to US permanent residency. The EB5 program allows a family to apply for green card by investing $800,000 in a qualifying US project. But the real value of EB5 is not just the investment. It is what it changes in your child's future. Let's start with students. This is often the stage where things look promising. Good university, good performance, interviews happening, a career is starting to take shape. And then comes the line many families now hear too often. We like the profile, but we cannot sponsor. And that is where the real pressure begins. OPT is temporary. It gives time, but not certainty. And after that, everything depends on H1B. And if H1B does not come through, your child may have to leave the US even after doing everything right. At this point, EB5 can create a parallel path. If filed from within the US, the student could get a work permit and a travel permit within a few months while the green card is still under process. That can strengthen their position in job applications and campus placements, and it can reduce the pressure of depending only on H1B. So even if OPT expires and H1B does not come through, they may still have a lawful path to stay and work in the US. And that is when EB5 starts looking less like an option and more like a real backup plan. Now let's look at H1B. This is where parents feel relieved. Good job, good salaries, and stability. From outside, it can look like everything is settled. But H1B is still temporary and it is tied to the employer. A layoff, restructuring, or even policy change can bring uncertainty back very quickly. And even if the job remains stable, the bigger issue does not go away. For Indians, the path to green card through employment can still take decades. So even after getting H1B, long-term security may still be far away. This is where EB5 can change the equation. If filed from within the US, it may allow for concurrent filing, which means your child may get to work and travel permission in just a few months while green card process continues. And that makes a real difference. Because once the work authorization is available, dependence on the employer reduces. That means more flexibility, more confidence, and more control over career decisions. Now here is where the biggest opportunity lies, before your child even goes to the US. Because planning early can shape the entire journey. A green card does not just affect immigration, it affects three important things. First, university choices. Your child may be viewed differently from international students, which can improve access to more competitive and preferred universities. Second, tuition costs. In some cases, it can open the door to domestic or in-state tuition, significantly reducing the cost. And third, career flexibility. Your child can plan internships, jobs, and long-term decisions with far less dependence on temporary visa rules. Now, this is the real advantage of planning early. You are not just planning education, you are planning education and long-term residency together. And that leads to better decision from the start. Families who act early do not just invest, they create flexibility, they create options, and they give their child a stronger foundation for future. Now that is the larger point. Most families plan for their education. Very few plan for what comes thereafter. But in today's environment, the second question matters even more. H1B is becoming harder and less predictable, especially for Indians. Tech layoffs are creating fresh uncertainties, and even stronger careers can be disrupted very quickly. And that is why what comes after may matter even more than getting there. US education is a major milestone, but it is not a full plan. The real plan is what comes next. If you want to approach your child's future with more clarity and structure, this is a conversation worth having. Click on the link below and schedule a call with our US immigration expert.